Hey friends, Christy here with Little Roots Ranch, and today we're going to talk about clearing brush in the Pacific Northwest. And I've got two areas that I'm going to show you. One of them is how it looks behind me, which is a mix of some natives, like salal is along here, and then also I call them weed trees, but like brush and things like that need to get cleared. There's also this right here is the dreaded Scotch broom, which is invasive and terrible and whatever. And this is part of the way getting it, but how I get it to look like that. And then afterwards, so I'm going to show you the tools that I use, show you how I do it, and then we're going to head over to a blackberry patch, which I know is the problem for most of you. And those blackberries are up over my head, and it's the same process, but I'm going to show you on that and kind of show you how I do it with hand tools. They're power tools, but not everybody has access to and I don't either, a huge tractor with like, I don't know, whatever, all the implements or whatnot. So I'm going to show you how I do it. And if you're about to start a project, I understand it's definitely a lot of work, but it's so rewarding after. So let me get my tools and I will bring you back, show you them, show you alternatives if you don't have those specific things, and then show you how they work. And we'll head over to the blackberry bush and do the same thing. So just a moment. Okay, so I've got everything gathered up, and what I'm going to do is show you what I use as well as some alternatives, and then I will actually use them. I'll put that in fast mode. And so first, when thinking about how you want to approach things, I always think about my littlest of problems to my biggest problems, and then mulching everything up. So that's kind of the flow. And what I mean by that is the littlest of problems, I consider all of these little like twigs and things like that, or even blackberries, just things that I can't, like I currently cannot walk through there. And I'm gonna be clearing this area for you live. But so in order to take care of that, there are a few options. The very first option that I ever had were loppers, and these really will get you a really long way. It just takes a lot of time. But if you don't have all the power tools or limited resources or anything like that, these things will make it through. You'll be surprised how much these things can make it through, and it's just going to take a long time, but you'll get there. So another alternative, especially for like blackberries and stuff like that, is a machete. And so this one, I don't use the machete as much because I use the next thing that we're going to talk about. But also, if your mental health is in need, if you get out to a blackberry brush and you're like samuraiing through, I promise you that you will feel better after, and your property will be a little bit more clear. So again, this works a little bit faster, but it's not going to get through some of the thicker stuff like the loppers will. So then we have what is my absolute favorite. So I'm going to show you that in just a second. The original thing I started off with, so it's a brush mower or brush trimmer, hedge trimmer, whatever, hedge trimmer. And my one that I mainly use is a steel with like a combi tool. And so that takes gasoline. It technically, other attachments it's like a two-piece thing. And it's nice because it's longer and all of that. But I sometimes have problems with that. And so I've recently purchased an electric, which is a battery operated one. Now I don't get the length away from me that I would like, but it seems a lot easier. So it has, none of this is sponsored, obviously. It has a 20-volt battery that I make sure is charged. And then you'll see here, it has these teeth. If you've never used a hedge trimmer, these teeth go back and forth, and they can eat up to anything up to 5/8 of an inch. Now, I've had them take a lot of stuff down, but as far as your initial layer, one of the three tools I just discussed will be really, really beneficial. And also for blackberry, which that's the section we're doing next, this thing, blackberry all day, every day. To me, I would not make it without. Same thing, the loppers and the machete all work fine, But if you have the means, this particular one was, I think, $119 at Ace. I had a $20 off coupon, so it was $100. And there's ones online for about the same price, between like 80, and of course they go up. You can always get, Steel makes one just like this, 500, you know. But anyways, I'll show you real quick kind of how this works so you can see if you're not familiar with how brush trimmers work. So if you look at the blades, see how they kind of go back and forth? And so when you're going through stuff, it really just clears it up. It's really not, when it comes to blackberries and you have a big section, I honestly think that this would be your best option. So when I talk about, I said, taking care of the little things, taking care of the big things, and then mulching it all up, making it disappear or whatever. So that's your first line of defense. And even, you know, if all you have are little hand clippers, those will work too. Obviously, hand clippers versus the hedge trimmer, it's gonna take you different amounts of time. And then of course there's a big tractor thing with a blade thing, and that does it instantly. But so those are your little things. Then we come to our bigger things. And those will be like weed trees, saplings, things like that. And honestly, even some of those, I think the biggest blackberry cane I've seen is like 3 inches or something. I mean, I could have built a log cabin with that guy. But anyways, then we're looking at chainsaws. And so to talk about that, there are a few options. Now, I recently discovered what is called the mini chainsaw. And it's, excuse me, it's got a 6-inch blade. And I personally highly recommend, doesn't have to be this one. This is just the one I have. This one was $45 from Amazon. But it's really nice for those who may have not be ready yet to work with a chainsaw, may not be able to afford a chainsaw, or are just starting out on their homesteading, gardening, land owning journey or whatever. And so this one is also battery operated. You can see the little battery down here, and it's the same exact thing. I'll start it for you so you can see it. And there's a little safety right here. It's only made, this particular one is only made for right-handed people, which is okay for me, but just so you know. But this is nice and easy, and it's not imposing. And this thing will actually get through a lot. Now, you're not taking down a cottonwood or an alder or whatever with this thing, but you can definitely limb a tree, which is where you cut off all the limbs, or a lot of, like that Scotch broom that I told you about. He's a perfect candidate. And any of these like little things, because there's a third step where you incorporate it all, and which I will get to in a second. But the easier it is to go over stuff, the better. And so like the little weed trees and things like that, this is perfect for it. Or limbing trees, anything. And honestly, I've even used it to get through blackberries. And there's a certain relief when you use a little chainsaw on a blackberry. It just makes your heart feel just a little bit better. But nonetheless, and then of course there's the regular big full-size chainsaws. And I'm not going to go over that in this video because I also don't feel as qualified to give chainsaw advice. But all the smaller stuff, I do feel confident. I have used the chainsaw, but also another option for people who are not comfortable, you can always hire it out or work around it or whatever if you don't feel comfortable. Have a neighbor help if you don't feel comfortable using a chainsaw. But so these are all the things to kind of do like a cutting, getting through the bigger stuff. So you've got through all of the little branches, the tiny ones, the shrubs, the blackberry, all of that. You've gotten through any of the weed trees, saplings, technically large trees if you have those. Usually those are technically saved for last after you do it. So the third tool is, the third thing I should say, is so all that stuff's gonna be falling to the ground as you go through it. Now, what I use is not probably accessible, so I'm going to show you what I use, but then I'm going to give you options that are attainable. So what I have right over there is that's a BCS. It's a 2-wheel tractor Let's see if I turn the camera around a little bit. There we go. So this thing, I love it to death. It really, I have an entire farm, and so it gets a lot of work. I do not think it is practical for somebody who just has a small lawn, obviously not apartments, or like a small piece of land, like if you're in an HOA or postage stamp yard, something like that. And I also, if you are not incredibly strong, that's not for you either. You know, it definitely is like wrestling a bear, and it keeps me in really good shape. But the sales videos will show, because there's also, I have it technically reversed, but on the front is the brush cutter, which you can kind of see. Obviously this is a view from the back, but it has the brush cutter that'll cut through anything it could push over. It'll cut up, and I'll demonstrate that in a second. But it's really amazing. I could put a plow on there. I could put a harrow on there. I could put a bed shaper. I could put a wood chipper, snow blower. It's basically like a tractor, has its own sets of things. But there's, but I understand. I think the tractor itself was, I think what, $8,000? About $8,000, I think, 9,000, something like that. And each of the implements are about 1,000 to 2,000. I have 3. The brush cutter was the more expensive one. So like I said, for me and what I'm doing on my farm, it makes sense. But for the average person, or even the majority of person, it doesn't make sense for that. So then what the other alternative is of course to get it hired in, or to use a lawnmower. Now, I know I have an old Husqvarna lawnmower that literally, that thing is a member of the family, because it can cut through anything. And you really can use your lawnmower for a lot more than just grass. I mean, obviously you might have to change out the blade more often. It's not as hard as you would think. And, you know, there might be some damage and stuff like that. But if that's all you have to work with, then that's all you have to work with. They do sell other brush cutters or brush like implements or whatever, like standalone machines. I don't know the price. I know they sell them at Home Depot, or probably any, you know, where they're just it's just a beefed out lawnmower or whatever at a more reasonable cost, and if that fits well or whatever. But honestly, I can really tell you, when I was starting out and I cleared most of the area around where my farm has been, and just the hand tool, it takes a lot of work, takes slow going, but if that's all you have, that's all you have. If you are going the lawnmower route and you've cut down all your like weed seeds, you know how there's the little things that stick up or whatever, go back and get these with this. It'll save your lawnmower a little bit. I really recommend that. Okay, so I'm gonna bring you closer. I'm gonna show you a quick up close snippet of what I mean by using each of these tools, except for the BCS I'll do at the end, because that'll take, that's a big thing to maneuver and stuff. And then I'm gonna put you on fast mode and let you see the whole process, but it'll go really quick. So let me bring you closer. Hold on, take off my gloves so I can press pause. Just one moment. So for this one, again, removing the littler stuff. So I press the safety and the thing, and it just cuts through everything. Usually start at the top and work down. This one's too big. I'll come back and get that with the chainsaw, but all the littler stuff. Okay. Just giving you a quick view, and let me get that little chainsaw. So then I get the little chainsaw, and this will help to cut up a lot of this brush. Remember, I'm kind of showing each step really quickly, and I'll show you the whole process. But this was the branch that we got caught on earlier. I can just come through, cut that off, and throw it to the side to deal with it later. And or things like this that are sticking out, I can come through, cut him off, and make it easier to work. I showed you that Scotch broom earlier. Come over here, let's cut him off. So this is it. One thing to note is, at least for me, when I'm cutting trees, littler trees or whatnot, I actually leave them sticking out of the ground considerably until I'm ready to take it all the way down, because I don't want to hit my ankle or my machinery or anything like that. So I'm going to come in here. I just want to show you what the little chainsaw can do. And then I'm going to cut it right about here, just so it's not too short. So then I've got this whole thing that I can get out, and then move that out of the way. And that's basically a quick overview of how that works. I'm going to grab the hedge trimmer and head over to the blackberries and show you how that works. And as promised, I've got a sea of blackberries that goes forever. This patch isn't as bad because it was cleared a few years ago. But again, I'm just going to use this brush trimmer and slow things to work my way through. One thing that really helps is to try, especially a lot of these lop over. So if you notice, I use kind of the angle. If you're using a gas powered one, make sure you're not aiming it towards the filter. But either way, it's a little bit of work, but it makes pretty good work of the blackberries. So I'll show you everything put together, but in fast mode. Okay, so here, as you can see, I'm kind of alternating between the hedge trimmer and the little chainsaw and kind of working my way through. It's hard to walk down there, and so that's why it's important to work in smaller sections. As I get a lot of the bigger stuff out of the way, I'll bring the brush cutter, the BCS, to kind of clear that so I can make more room and walk around. But it ultimately does make a big difference. Just keep at it, and I promise that you will have your land cleared slowly but steadily. Okay, so as you can see, let me step back a little bit. So it's a small section and a pretty good sized section, but that's what it really is going piece by piece by piece. I did a smaller section because of video, and just keep working at it and keep pushing back and back and back. As I come forward, granted, there's some of these are all the things I threw out of there, but all of this area looked like back there, and I've just kept on it and continuously mowed it and all that stuff. With blackberries, digging out the crown is always the best. If you have 47 trillion of them, continuous mowing is your best option. There is spraying with stuff. I'm not familiar with what to spray, but I have heard that works really well. I personally have no spray, and so but continuous mowing definitely works. I'm going to take you one more place before we sign off on the video. This area was less blackberry, more regular shrub brush and things like that. I want to take you to a place that was full blackberry that I've been working on, and I want to show you the difference it can make. So hold on just a moment. Okay, so see all this. This is walkable and looks fine, but this was all like that. So as I come back, you can see that it was solid blackberry, but all of this was using the machete, using the hedge trimmer mostly, using loppers, using everything, and the BCS, of course. And obviously, as we back up, you can see, the blackberries are up over my head. And so this area is pretty much exclusively blackberries. There are some weed trees in there, and then there's a little path we kind of made going back there and stuff like that. But it's a lot of work, but I promise you it can be done. And then just make sure you keep it weeded. Now, obviously in the video I showed you the fast time, the BCS made a lot, sorry, I'm out of breath. The BCS made a lot of difference. If you're using a lawnmower, you don't have a brush hog or anything like that, all you do is when you got your head trimmer, you take it lower. If the branches or the little tree saplings are too thick, you use your loppers. It takes a little bit longer, but you can do it. I started most of my farming with a machete, hedge trimmers, and a lawnmower. And then of course I've been able to upgrade some of my tools. But anyways, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop those. Either myself or the community can answer those. If you have any tips, especially tips, share with the community. And good luck working on your land. Thanks for watching. Oh, if you wouldn't mind giving it a like or a comment, that would be great. It always helps me out. But anyways, thank you for watching. Bye.